Thank you guys for watching in its class. Today's weather is so fine. It is so perfect. It is a very nice. It is a very nice time to study. Today's lesson is poem called Death. It is anonymous. To me, you don't know who composed it, but you know translator as Aneirin Talfan Davies. Background of this poem. It is a Welsh ballad. It is anonymous, as I have said before. This poem was translated from Welsh by Aneirin Talfan Davies to English. And what we know about this man is that he was both a writer and poet in both English and Welsh. Welsh folk songs and poetry often deal with the theme of death and doom. Looking at the poem, one night as I lay on my bed and sleep on fleeting foot had fled, because no doubt my mind was heavy with concern for my last journey. I got me out and called for water, that I might wash and so feel better. But before I wet my eyes so dim, there was death on the bowl's rim. I went to church that I might pray, things sure had kept away. But before I got to my knees, to my feet, there sat death upon my seat. To my chamber then I hide, things sure would keep outside. But though I firmly locked the door, death come from underneath the floor. Then to see I low board, think sure death can't fraud. But before I reached the deep, there was captain of the ship. Looking at this poem, this poem is about human condition. Everyone at some time think about his own death. I think it is quite most of us think about death. Now, narrator is telling us that one night he was unable to sleep, for he was thinking about his own death. So he was in the bed. We know that bed is, when we are in the bed, we rest. And it was one night. This one night means that he's telling us the story of one of the nights that happened to him. Now, when we know that dark or night, simply night means darkness. The narrator tried to escape death and the thoughts of death. He tried to wash his face, but as he bent to wash his face, he found that death was on the bowl's rim. So it is quite simple that when you feel uncomfortable, you can wash your face so that you might feel better. He went to church to find spiritual comfort, but when he got from his knees, death was sitting on his seat. So it is quite simple that people, when they feel not fine, they go to find the spiritual comfort, protection in the church. They do this by praying. Being terrified, he ran to his room and locked the door firmly, and death was able to hunt him, appeared underneath of the floor. So he locked the door firmly. He said, "Oh, now, to keep this death away from me, I have to lock the door and make sure that it stays outside. It stays outside." But death was able to come underneath of the floor. At last, he learned to see, trying to escape his death. But before he went far, death was the captain of the ship. So he tried all his best so that he can learn and escape the death, but death keeps hunting him. Looking at the setting of this poem, keeps changing. We say that The narrator tries to escape his own death, and it is present everywhere in every scene. The poem starts in his bed, then to church, goes to his room again, and finally to ship. The setting is very important because to help us know the state of the speaker. He tried to escape the thoughts of his death by pouring water to wash his face, trying to find spiritual comfort and locking himself in his room. Even the last, he resigned when he was in the ship. Now, looking at the character of this poem, we have the speaker. The speaker is the one who is telling this story, what happened to him trying to escape his death. The second one is death. Death which is hunting him. We see that death is relentless, so is inevitable because it is pursuing him everywhere he goes, is always with him. Looking at the structure of this poem is made of 5 stanzas. Each stanza is made of 4 lines, which make it to be called a quatrain. Now we see that again this poem is a ballad. So to me, this ballad, ballad is the poem meant to be sung, but also meant to teach the lesson. Looking at the rhyme scheme, one night as I lay on my bed, this bed goes with A. Fred goes with A. Heavy, B. Journey goes with B. Water, C. Better, C. Dim, D. Limb, D. Play, E. Away, E. Feet, F. Sit, F. Hide, G. Outside, G. Door, H. Floor, H. Board, I. Floor, I. Deep, J. Ship, J. Now, the rhyme scheme of this poem, we can say it is A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G, H, H, I, J, J. Now, looking at poetic device in this poem, we have to start with alteration. We have fleeting foot had fled. We have F on fleeting, F on foot, and F on fled. This FF we call it alteration. We have metaphor. Death is described as the man's last journey of life. Ship is another metaphor since it is the speaker's last journey. Looking at imagery, we see that as the setting keeps shifting or changing, one gets image of the man learning, trying to escape his death. We see the image in our mind of death, which is quite frightening. The way it appeared on the basin rim, it appeared in the church, and how it came underneath of the floor. And the way even it is the captain of the ship, it is now stealing the ship, is quite a mental picture or image which is created in our mind. Looking at personification, we see that on this line, and sleep on the fleeting foot had fled. Now, this fleeting means learning very fast. Now, the sleep is giving the attribute of human learning fast as if it is a person. Death is personified as a person who is present everywhere in this poem. We can also say about repetition. On line 10, 14, and 18, there is this thinking sure. We see thinking sure on 10th line, 14th line, and 18 line. So think sure now the speaker assured himself that he is in control. We can say something about elision. Elision is the removal of part of the word to shorten it. This might be an unstressed syllable, consonant, or letter from a word or phrase. Looking at this word, this thinking sure, this sure is shortened from surely. There is also had kept away. This had is shortened also. Looking at the tone of this poem, the tone is depressed for fear of dying, desperation trying to escape death, and resignation. He found that it was impossible for him to escape. We see this on the last line of the poem, which is 20th line. Looking at the theme of this poem, one cannot say death, but I would rather say presence of death. We can't escape our own death. Death is with us everywhere we are. It is something we carry with since the time we were born. So we go with death. When you go to church, you are with death. When you go to play, we are with death. When you go to class, you are deaf, because death always is with us. Another theme I might say or highlight is the fear of death. Looking at this poem, we find that the narrator is afraid of death. Death is pursuing him everywhere. Now, looking at the message of this poem, people worry about dying. However, death is always with them since the time they were born. Nevertheless, we should enjoy our moment to the fullest as long as we are breathing. Since you are alive, you have to enjoy your life. You have to do good and avoid evil. Now, guys, thank you for watching this video up to the very end. I would advise you not to watch this video once, but a couple of times. Because I think and I believe that spaced repetition enhances retention.